So, I was just thinking about how so many people like cancel people out before they even get to a place. Like they're still in the stages of learning and growing, and people just automatically deem you as disqualified in life. Like, oh no, they're not gonna make it. They're not. They just call it out. They just call it out. And you're still young at this time. Like, they already look at you and just say the darndest things. They say the darndest things about you. And it's not okay. It's not right. Because it's almost like many people act like they never did anything wrong. Many people act like they never made a mistake. And they're just like pointing fingers at other people. Like, this is what people like to do. And it's unfortunate because I feel like relationships that could have been strong become weak. And it's just really sad how people, I don't know, people are quicker to put somebody down rather than to lift them up and tell them something that's encouraging, something that could possibly change their mind to do better. Because sometimes people, I feel like it's hard for people to see better when they don't have much of an example of an improvement. So they just kind of do what they see best in that environment. And all environments aren't good. So if you don't have an example in front of you or like a role model, it could become challenging, not unless you're like a 1%er that wants different just because they want it. They don't need anybody to tell them anything. Like, it's kind of like they see a problem and they fix it. They don't need someone to tell them sometimes. Sometimes that does happen. Not everyone is like that. That's a very strong-minded person. Anybody that at a young age, especially, at any age really, but I think at a young age, it's more of, I feel like there's a calling over someone's life when you're a young person and you know that you're going the wrong way, you're making bad decisions, not the best decisions, and you look at yourself and you're like, you know what? I need to stop this. This is not right. It's not going to work out for me if I keep on going down this path. And when you get to such a conclusion at such a young age, it already shows that it's like you have an old soul. Like, you've been here before. You ever had somebody tell you that? People have told me that so many times in my life. And I agree, because I feel like I've been here many times. Many times I feel like I've been here. Even from when I think about myself as a child, how I thought. I didn't realize that how I thought was significant in my life until I got older and I think back. Because as a child, you don't have anything to reference back to because you haven't been here for that long. However, now that I'm an adult and I think about now, I reminisce on my past and I think about how I used to think. And I was thinking big to be so small. And I feel like many of you are the same way, which is why you were able to get across so many obstacles, even though it was a challenge, but you still did it. And you made the decision, like, you made that decision for yourself. Maybe for some of you, there was somebody around trying to guide you and you listened. But specifically the person that I'm picking up on, the energy, is someone that you did that on your own. Like, you figured that out on your own. You looked at yourself and you was like, you tripping. You need to change because this is not working for us. It's almost like you tapped into your higher self. The best version of you started to speak to you. And you heard the best version of yourself loud and clear. You know, nobody could take that away from you. Your intelligence. That's why they say knowledge is power. But then you got to make sure. I heard apply the power. I heard apply the pressure, but then I heard apply the power. You got to apply it. You have to apply it in your life. When you start applying the power that you have in your life, that's when you see a change. You know, you start to see a change in yourself. When you begin to do things that you know many around you would have never believed that you would. Maybe some people thought you was crazy or responded to you in a crazy way. Like, you want to do what? Oh, no. All right. You know, sometimes your dreams could be so big that those around you, they can't see that far. Because it's just, that's not their vision. And it's okay. That's fine. And I think that's another thing that we must take into consideration. Sometimes your vision will be bigger than those around you. And it doesn't mean, that doesn't always mean that the people around you are bad or that something's wrong with them. It's just that they can't see as far as you can. They can't see what you see. You know? It's nice when you're around somebody that can see what you see. But everybody, they don't have that capability. You know? And that's just what it is. Everyone serves a purpose, whatever that is. Everyone serves some type of purpose. But once you find your own, and it's in your mind, and it's written on your heart, you can't help but to move in that direction. No matter who says what. Because people, you know, people have a tendency to talk. And they don't know what they're chatting about. They just like chatting. People just like chatting. They don't know what they're chatting about. You know? But why not encourage something that's an improvement? Regardless of if you don't know, if you don't have the vision or not. You know? People that... I'm hearing something, but I gotta wait for it to come through all the way. It's something like people that think big learned how to think small. Does that make sense? I kept on saying that in my head, but it wasn't sounding right. But I have to evaluate this. My eyes are itching. These allergies are annoying. People that think big learn to think small. Oh, so some people have trouble even thinking small. That's why they can't think any bigger. So you have to master each phase and stage in your life in order to be able to elevate, okay? So the quicker and the more efficient you are when you make smaller decisions, the more your mind will expand to be able to make or to be able to envision bigger plans. Okay? That's what I'm getting right now. But yeah, so I feel like the moral of this message here is, regardless of who says what about you and where you're going in your life, frankly, their opinion of you never mattered. Only it matters if they actually care to encourage you and be some form of support to you. But if not, those people become burdens and like dead weight, and they take up necessary space if you will allow them to. So the opinions that others have of you especially if they're not constructive, if it's not somebody that actually means well, you know, there's no point in accepting what they're trying to give you. Because many times people try to pass you toxicity and want you to hold on to it so they don't have to. Then they want to watch you squirm with what was once theirs. So they try to pass their toxicity to you and then want you to suffer with it when it was their burden to bear. I don't think we realize how much that happens in life. And just think about, I could put it like this, like think about a time when you either experienced this yourself or you saw somebody else go through it, where someone says the most horrible thing to this person and they can't let it go. And it's not even true, but they believe it. And they believe it for so long, and it is so, it has just become a really big part of their life, whatever was said to them, to the point where they started to live up to what was said. Just off the strength of what someone said, that's how powerful our words are. So this is why not only should you detach from societal norms, as I was speaking about in the last video, you should also detach energy that was never yours, that someone tried to pass to you. Alright then. Hold on. That's it for this message. I'll see you in the next.